There is a fortress within you, a place untouched by storm, slander, or misfortune, a still point in the spinning world. It does not crumble under insult. It does not shatter in chaos. It does not beg for approval, nor fear rejection. It is the seat of your mind, your soul, your peace. And the Stoics believed this fortress to be invincible if you choose to guard it. You were not made to be ruled by noise, not the noise of crowds, nor the noise of your own panic. You were made to stand firm in the midst of shifting conditions, to witness pain without surrendering to it, to acknowledge emotion without being enslaved by it. The Stoic does not deny that arrows fly or that storms rage. They simply refuse to give their peace away. In the face of insults, delays, injustice, betrayal, confusion, failure, the Stoic remains calm, not because they are immune to emotion, but because they have trained their mind not to hand over control to the outside world. They have reminded themselves day after day that what belongs to them, truly belongs to them, cannot be taken. They understood that true peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of inner clarity, guided by reason and virtue. Peace is not an accident. It is not a gift handed out by favorable circumstances. It is the fruit of inner labor, the product of attention and intention. You cannot stumble into stillness. You build it. You return to it when the world tries to rip it away. You sit inside it like a throne and say, I do not control the world, but I control how I meet it. This video is not about pretending the world is kind. It is not about detaching from life or numbing your heart. It is about awakening the guardian within you, the one who says, yes, pain exists. Yes, things may fall apart, but I will not be taken with them. I will remain whole. This is about building something within that no one can touch, a stillness that survives the storm, a serenity earned not by escape, but by mastery, a calm earned in the furnace of chaos, tested in the trials of daily living, and proven in silence. Let nothing take your peace, not today, not ever. Chapter 1. Peace is a discipline. Peace is not given, it is built. It is chiseled one decision at a time, refined in fire, confirmed in discomfort. You will not stumble into serenity by accident. You will have to fight for it, not with violence, but with discipline. The Stoics did not wait for the world to calm down. They prepared for its noise. They walked straight into its storms with a still mind. They understood that tranquility is not found in the world, but forged in the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The implication is profound. If your mind is disturbed, it is not the world that broke your peace. It is you who handed it over. Most people live in reaction. They carry peace only as long as no one challenges it. They are calm only when the weather is fair, only when traffic is smooth, when conversations are agreeable, when everything aligns with their expectations. But peace born from silence dies in conflict. The Stoic trains in chaos, not to become cold, but to remain centered, to be still when storms blow through, to stay soft in character, yet firm in principle. Peace is a muscle. Every time you resist the urge to retaliate, it grows. Every time you delay your response to choose a better one, it strengthens. Every time you hold your tongue when insulted, focus your attention when distracted, or return to your breath when anxious, you are lifting the weight of composure. These are not passive actions. They are intentional exercises in restraint, clarity, and courage. Just as the body becomes stronger with use, the mind becomes quieter, sharper, more unshakable when it is used well. To strengthen peace is to strengthen attention. The Stoic returns to their breath, not out of ritual, but because that breath is the bridge between chaos and composure. It is the anchoring point when thoughts threaten to scatter and emotion claws at the edges of reason. In that simple breath is a retreat from the storm, a return to presence, and a powerful reminder that stillness is always one breath away. They resist the need to win every argument because they understand that every victory in the world is a defeat if it costs them inner stillness. They have no interest in proving superiority if it costs them their serenity. They know that some arguments come dressed as justice but are only ego in disguise, and ego is the thief of peace. The Stoic sees this trap clearly. They step around it. They know that peace is not simply a feeling, it is a position, a practice, a posture toward life. It is how you stand, even when pushed. It is how you breathe, even when choked by pressure. The undisciplined mind leaks serenity with every impulse. With every unguarded reaction, it gives away its most precious possession. But the trained mind preserves it, because it does not spill it on every provocation. It holds its peace the way a warrior holds a sword, with control, with awareness, and with purpose. Like a blade, it is only drawn when necessary, and when it is sheathed, it is not weakness, it is wisdom. There is a difference between power and noise. There is a difference between force and focus. To remain calm when provoked is not to be passive, but to be precise. There will be days when everything tempts you to lose your calm. There will be comments meant to provoke, delays meant to frustrate, mistakes that whisper you've failed. Some days will bring criticism from those who don't understand your path. Others will bring silence when you expected support. You may feel unrecognized, dismissed, misunderstood. But peace is not something you hold only on good days. It is what you return to, what you rebuild when life attempts to tear it down. It is your inner refuge, your base camp, your sanctuary when the war outside grows loud. You cannot wait for the world to be quiet. You must choose to be quiet within it. It is not built once and forever. It must be returned to again and again, each time with intention, humility, and effort. The first lesson is simple. Peace is not passive. It is power under control. It is clarity in motion. It is courage without aggression. It is strength held in stillness. It does not roar to be noticed or demand to be validated. It stands quietly and firmly within the individual who has mastered their response to life. It is not fragile. It is forged. It is not the result of others behaving. It is not conditional. It is not granted by approval or withdrawn by insult. It is born when you decide to no longer hand over your emotions to the chaos around you. When you learn that every moment of peace is earned in your response to conflict, in your patience with discomfort, in your refusal to be thrown off course by the noise of the world. It is the product of you mastering how you respond. The pause before you speak, the deep breath before you act, the decision to walk away instead of escalate, the wisdom to ask, what would cost me less, my pride or my peace? And it does not come from always being right. It comes from always being anchored. It comes from being deeply rooted in values that are not shaken by opinions, from knowing who you are when no one applauds you, from understanding that peace is a home you carry within and that no storm outside can break what you've built inside. If you want it, you must protect it like your most valuable treasure, because it is. Guard it from the false urgency of the world. Guard it from the trivial battles that try to steal your attention. Guard it from the people who live to provoke. Peace is your greatest wealth, your inner sanctuary. To defend it is not weakness, it is wisdom. And once you've built it and tested it and returned to it through storms, you will know nothing, no insult, no delay, no temporary discomfort is worth the cost of losing it. Because when you hold your peace, you hold your power, you hold your direction, you hold yourself. Chapter 2. The world owes you nothing. The quickest way to lose your peace is to expect the world to meet your expectations. When your serenity is built on the behavior of others, you've constructed your house on sand. The Stoic understands that entitlement is the enemy of serenity. The belief that people should act a certain way, or that life should unfold according to your script, is a recipe for suffering. Why? Because the world is not obligated to cooperate with your preferences. The traffic will not part for your schedule. The people around you will not always speak gently, nor act fairly. Your peace cannot be conditional on the behavior of the crowd. The Stoic sees this clearly. They see that disappointment is not just about what happened, it's about what was expected. We are not broken by events, but by the ideas we carried into them. Epictetus taught, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." This is not apathy, it is alignment with reality. It is understanding that peace is not found in control, it is found in cooperation with the truth of how things are. When you relinquish the illusion of control over others, you gain mastery over yourself. That is the Stoic trade. We do not control others. We do not control outcomes. We control our choices, our values, our interpretations. We control our attention. We decide what meaning to assign, how much energy to invest, and what direction to move. Peace begins when we stop trying to bend the world to our desires and start bending ourselves to what the moment requires. It begins when we stop asking, "Why aren't they better?" and start asking, "How can I respond with strength, grace, and clarity, regardless of what they do?" Release your grip on how things should be. The idea of should is often a disguised demand, a silent contract you've written that no one else has signed. It assumes that people owe you kindness, that plans must unfold perfectly, and that fairness is guaranteed. But the world is not built on your preferences. The moment you make peace dependent on everything aligning with your desires, you've handed it over to chance. It turns life into a courtroom where you are the prosecutor and the world is always on trial. Every missed expectation becomes a new charge. Every inconvenience becomes a verdict of injustice. But the Stoic does not live in that courtroom. They step outside of it. They retire the gavel. They let go of the illusion that everything must meet their terms to be meaningful. They don't argue with reality. They collaborate with it. They walk alongside it like a teacher, not an enemy. They see the energy wasted in asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead turn to, What will I do now that it is? Because in that question lies your freedom. Your answer becomes your path. But what if you let go? What if you released the clenched fist and allowed life to be what it is, while you remained who you are? What if you stopped trying to control the ocean and started learning how to sail? What if you accepted the moment, not as defeat, but as the next arena to practice your virtues? Patience, courage, humility, endurance. These are forged in imperfection, not in comfort. They grow not in still waters, but in the waves. The Stoic knows this. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They act with virtue no matter the weather. They do not wait for harmony to act harmoniously. Acceptance is not surrender, it is clarity. Look at how things are, not with bitterness, but with insight. Accept without resignation. You are not giving up. You are stepping in with eyes open. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means seeing clearly without denial or distortion. It means saying, "This is what is. Now, who will I be in response to it?" Adjust without bitterness. You adapt, not because the world is bigger than you, but because you are strong enough to remain peaceful in motion. Adapt, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know that life does not bend for anyone. So we must learn how to flow without breaking. The tree that sways in the storm is the one that survives it. Rigidity snaps, but principled flexibility endures. Act with principle, not entitlement. Let your response reflect your values, not your frustration. React from vision, not impulse. Lead with purpose, not panic. Live as if the world owes you nothing, but you owe the world your best. Then you will not just keep your peace, you will command it. You will wield it like a steady flame in a world of wind. And a peace you command is a peace no one can take. It becomes your foundation, your freedom, your proof that strength does not always raise its voice. Sometimes it just doesn't flinch. And sometimes that calm becomes the loudest message of all. Chapter 3. Feeling without drowning. The Stoic does not suppress emotion. They study it. They observe it like a scientist, not a soldier. They understand that emotions are visitors, not masters. They come, they go, but they do not have to take the throne. You do not have to serve them, obey them, or let them speak for you. Emotions are information, not commands. To keep your peace, you must learn how to feel without drowning. You must let the waves pass without being carried away by the current. Sadness will visit, so will anger, so will fear. These are part of the human condition, not signs of failure. The goal is not to banish them. The goal is to not become them. You feel anger, but you are not anger. You feel fear, but you are not fear. There is a difference. To live with emotional clarity is to place your feelings in the proper frame. The Stoic does not chase constant positivity. They pursue emotional intelligence. They do not pretend not to hurt. They simply refuse to let the hurt choose who they become. They allow room for tears, but not for tantrums. They give space to grief, but not control to chaos. Seneca warned that emotion becomes destructive when we confuse it for truth. Feelings are not facts. Anger is not clarity. Fear is not prophecy. Anxiety is not evidence. You might feel like you're losing everything, but that doesn't mean you are. You might feel betrayed, but pause. What is the story you've told yourself? Emotion distorts, inflates, dramatizes. The Stoic steps back, breathes, and separates sensation from interpretation. When the Stoic feels, they pause. They do not rush to act from the spike of emotion. They question the story. They examine the narrative. They breathe. They wait. They test the emotion against reason. They ask, is this permanent? Is this true? Am I responding to what is, or to what I fear? Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why? Where is it coming from? Is it proportionate? Is this helpful? Is this emotion guiding me toward virtue, or pulling me into reactivity? What would a calm, rational mind do now? What response would reflect my highest principles, not my most wounded reactions? You will not always have perfect answers. You will not always feel composed, but you will have awareness. And awareness is the beginning of peace. Awareness allows you to see emotion as a wave, not a prison. It gives you space. It gives you breath. It gives you a moment to choose who you will be, rather than letting the storm decide for you. This is the heart of Stoic emotional mastery, not detachment, but discernment, not coldness, but clarity, not denial, but discipline. The Stoic feels, they ache, they get hurt, but they don't hand over the keys of their soul to the intruder. They say, I see you. You may stay for a moment, but you do not command me. And that is the deeper peace, not the kind that depends on feeling good, but the kind that is anchored in wisdom, the kind that can feel pain and still move with purpose, the kind that can sit with sorrow and still act from virtue. That is what it means to feel without drowning. That is the strength of the Stoic. Chapter 4. Silence is your power. The Stoic speaks little but with weight. Their words are deliberate, not performative. They do not react to every rumor, every jab, every wave of noise that passes through the world. They understand that silence is not weakness. It is protection. It is a fortress for clarity. It is the disciplined restraint of someone who refuses to let others write the script of their day. In a world that constantly demands reactions, fast opinions, sharp replies, emotional outbursts, the Stoic reclaims power by pausing. They do not compete to speak the loudest. They are not interested in performing anger or showcasing virtue. They delay the quick comeback. They resist the need to prove. They breathe. They calculate. They understand that their peace is not found in the last word, but in the right word, and sometimes in no words at all. This is not withdrawal. It is wisdom. It is the choice to conserve energy for what truly matters, to know the difference between responding and reacting, and to understand that not every confrontation is worthy of your spirit. The Stoic does not waste their calm on those who trade in outrage. They do not empty their inner reservoir on the shallow expectations of strangers. They know that many provocations are bait, that not every battle is worth fighting, that some battles are won by not showing up at all. That silence, when held with integrity, can be sharper than any sword. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. To rise above is the greatest resistance. You keep your peace when you remember that not everything requires your voice. You do not need to weigh in on every insult. You do not need to explain your worth to those who cannot see it, nor prove your virtue to those who have already decided not to recognize it. Peace is not something you perform. It is something you protect. It is the invisible boundary that says, You may try to provoke me, but you will not move me. Some things deserve your absence. Some provocations are traps in disguise, appealing to your pride, but offering only exhaustion in return. Some arguments are noise masquerading as necessity, inviting you into a chaos that only exists because someone needs to feel in control. Let them go. Walk away, not out of defeat, but because you are already victorious. Because your presence is too valuable to be spilled in puddles. Your silence is not surrender, it is elevation. It is a message. I have nothing to prove to noise. When you speak less, you listen more. You observe more. You notice what others miss in their rush to respond. You begin to understand that stillness grants insight, while noise often obscures it. You learn more, not just about others, but about yourself. You notice how often the need to speak comes from discomfort, not necessity. You give yourself room to breathe, to recalibrate, to respond with thought instead of impulse. You practice patience between stimulus and response, and in that space, wisdom arises. You create room for insight to mature before it takes the shape of speech. Your words carry gravity because they are chosen, not spilled. They become instruments of clarity, not clutter. They pierce through confusion and bring light to ambiguity. They cut through fog like light in the dark, and your presence grows stronger because it is not diluted by endless reaction. It becomes anchored. It becomes focused. You develop presence that commands attention without needing volume. People begin to lean in when you speak, not because you are loud, but because you are rare. You become unshakable, not by overpowering the room, but by anchoring within yourself. You ground yourself in values, not validation. You become known for what you don't say, for the restraint that radiates power, for the control that whispers, I choose when and how to use my voice. Speak less, mean more. Let your silence echo your peace. Let it be a wall against noise, not to isolate yourself, but to shield what matters. Let it be a balm against chaos, a sanctuary for self-mastery. Let it guard your mind like a gatekeeper, choosing wisely what passes through and what remains outside. Let it speak for you, not as an emptiness, but as a presence too powerful to waste on the trivial. Let your silence be your declaration of purpose. Let it say, I do not drift with the currents. I remain still with intention. I do not surrender to reaction. I rise with reflection. In a world addicted to reaction, your stillness becomes rebellion. Your restraint becomes influence. Your silence becomes strength. And your peace becomes your power. Chapter 5. The Daily Guardian. Each day begins with a test, not with chaos, but with choice. Before the emails, before the demands, before the noise arrives, knocking on your door, there is a moment, a window, a stillness, and in that stillness, the future of your peace is decided. The Stoic begins with preparation, not to manipulate the day, but to meet it, not to control every event, but to control their response. A moment of silence, a reminder of values, a mental rehearsal for the battles ahead. This is not superstition, it is strategy. The same way a warrior sharpens their sword, the Stoic sharpens their mind before it is needed. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. But I have seen the beauty of good and bad, and I cannot be harmed by them. This is not cynicism, it is clarity. It is not bitterness, it is preparation. To anticipate friction is not to be pessimistic. It is to choose your state in advance before the world tempts you to lose it. That is the mindset of peace. Not expecting ease, but preparing for challenge. Not demanding kindness, but committing to virtue. Because you cannot predict what someone will say. You cannot forecast the mood of the room, but you can decide, before the day begins, what kind of person you will be when difficulty shows its face. Build your morning not as a sprint, but as a shield. Let your routine become a form of armor. Write your intentions. Ask yourself, who will I be today? What will I guard? What will I let go? Breathe, reflect. Rehearse not outcomes, but identity. Do not pray for ease. Prepare for impact. Enter the world not in reaction, but in resolve. Enter the world with armor, not made of steel, but of self-command. You will be provoked. Someone will test you. Traffic will stall. A message will irritate. Someone's failure will become your burden. A moment will arrive that threatens to unseat your calm. You will be tired. Your mind will offer excuses. But because you were ready, you will remember who you are. And that is how peace is kept, not by luck, not by chance, but by the guardian you place at the gates of your mind every day. That guardian is habit. That guardian is awareness. That guardian is the voice inside you that speaks louder than the world outside. Chapter 6. Interruptions are your training. Peace is not destroyed by interruptions. It is revealed by them. It is not maintained in quiet moments. It is forged in noisy ones. Anyone can appear calm when nothing challenges them. But the Stoic is not interested in appearances. They want real calm, real composure. And real peace must be pressure-tested to be proven. The Stoic understands that the true test of serenity is not found in silent retreats or peaceful days. It is found in the chaos of the unexpected. It is found in the knock at the door when you're in the middle of something important, the call that wakes you too early, the project that's delayed without warning, the plan that falls apart after hours of work. These are not setbacks, they are invitations. They are life saying, you said you were ready, prove it. The very things we label as disruptions are often life's invitations to train. And the Stoic, ever the student, welcomes them. Because they understand that character is not built in comfort. It is built in inconvenience. It is revealed not when everything goes right, but when everything goes wrong. Epictetus taught, difficulties show a person's character. So when trouble comes, think of yourself as a wrestler that God has matched with a tough young buck. For what purpose? To turn you into Olympic-class material. That is not just poetic, it is practical. To complain about the challenge is to reject the very condition required to grow. Most people see interruptions as enemies. The Stoic sees them as weight added to the barbell. Each disruption is a representative. Each challenge is a test. You say you value patience. Here's a traffic jam. You claim to be calm. Here's a sudden mistake. You think you're grounded. Here's a wave of bad news. Each moment becomes a proving ground for your practice. Peace is not delicate. It does not crumble when poked. It must be exposed to difficulty if it is to grow durable. It must be called into action when you least expect it. That is why the Stoic doesn't merely tolerate interruptions. They expect them. They welcome them. Not with joy, perhaps, but with readiness, because each one is a call to train in the very thing they seek to master. Strength, patience, restraint, clarity. These are not words to recite. They are muscles to use. So the next time you are interrupted, do not say, "Why now?" Say, "Here is my opportunity. Here is your training. Here is your gym." Don't run from it. Step into it. Don't let the moment steal your peace. Let it sharpen it. Don't just survive it. Grow in it. Use it. Let it be the moment that reveals who you really are. Chapter 7. Detach from what you can't control. The greatest thief of peace is not chaos, it is control, or rather the illusion of control. It's the belief that if we just try hard enough, tighten our grip, anticipate every outcome, and manage every person, we'll be safe, certain, untouched. But this is a trap. It is a silent war against reality, and it's a war no one ever wins. The Stoic draws a clear boundary between what belongs to them and what does not, between what they can influence and what they must release. It is this division, this simple act of internal border drawing, that preserves their clarity. It is the daily act of choosing their sphere, what is mine to shape and what is not, and the wisdom to act fully on the first and let go of the second. You do not control the weather. You do not control someone else's mood. You do not control the traffic, the economy, the opinions of others, or whether today brings praise or criticism. But you control your posture, your tone, your interpretation, your effort, your response. That is where peace lives, not in dominating what's external, but in directing what's internal, not in ownership of the world, but in ownership of yourself. Epictetus put it bluntly, "Some things are up to us, and some are not. To forget this is to suffer. To remember it is to be free. Free not from pain, but from torment. Free not from consequence, but from self-imposed madness." Many people tie their peace to what is outside. Outcomes, attention, applause, validation, timing. They grip tightly to things that were never theirs to hold. And when those things slip, because they always do, their calm goes with them. The applause stops, the plans unravel, the person leaves. And because their peace was built on a foundation not their own, it collapses. The Stoic loosens that grip, not out of apathy, but out of wisdom. They know that effort does not guarantee outcome, that love does not guarantee reciprocity, that virtue does not guarantee reward, and yet they still love, they still serve, they still strive, because they act from integrity, not guarantee, from principle, not payoff. They act with excellence but do not cling to outcome. They speak with sincerity but do not demand understanding. They give fully but are not wrecked by rejection. They are committed to their process, not possessed by its result. To detach is not to give up. It is not indifference. It is not passivity. It is clarity. It is saying, "I will give everything I have to what I can control and release the rest without resentment." It is to give your best and let go of the rest. That is where true peace begins, at the boundary of what you can and cannot control. That is where your power lives. That is where the Stoic finds rest, not because life is easy, but because they have stopped trying to control what never belonged to them. Let your grip soften, let your clarity sharpen, and let that boundary be the gate through which your peace walks freely, untouched by the world's noise. Chapter 8. Master your inner dialogue. If you do not master your inner voice, someone else will. And if you don't speak to yourself with intention, the world will gladly do it for you, with fear, with doubt, with noise. The battle for your peace often begins in the quiet space between your ears. What you say in your mind is the script you live by. The Stoic pays close attention to what they say, not out loud, but in their own mind, because the words you speak to yourself shape everything: how you interpret the moment, how you frame difficulty, how you treat others, and how you treat yourself. Your thoughts become the lens through which you see the world, and if that lens is cracked with cynicism or fogged by fear, your perception becomes a prison. You are always talking to yourself. The question is, what are you saying? And more than that, how are you saying it? With clarity or confusion? With encouragement or criticism? Are you fueling your fear, giving it more breath, more attention than it deserves? Or are you guiding it, reminding yourself that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the refusal to bow to it? Are you feeding self-pity, rehearsing all the ways the world has wronged you? Or are you cultivating resilience, telling yourself that though the weight is heavy, you were made to carry it? Are you echoing the voices of critics from your past, old doubts, past failures, careless words spoken by others and absorbed without defense? Or are you building the voice of a coach, calm, firm, focused, lifting you forward without delusion? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." That means your mind is not a neutral space. It is an arena of influence. Every thought is a stroke of paint on the canvas of your soul. If your thoughts are chaotic, reactive, or cruel, your inner world will reflect that chaos. But if your thoughts are guided, trained, deliberate, you create a mind that shelters peace. The Stoic trains that inner voice to be a guide, not a critic, a calm teacher, not a panicked prosecutor. When they stumble, they correct, not condemn. When they feel fear, they steady, not spiral. When they feel anger, they do not explode. They investigate. They offer themselves the same clarity and compassion they might offer a struggling friend, because they understand that real growth comes not from harshness, but from honest self-respect. They do not allow unexamined thoughts to run wild and write false stories, because untrained thoughts become distorted scripts. I always mess up. I never get it right. I don't deserve peace. If I fail, I am worthless. These stories do not reflect truth. They reflect unchecked emotion. They are shadows mistaken for substance. And fear, if not examined, will govern you with lies disguised as certainty. The Stoic refuses to give fear the pen. Peace is not only external, it is internal discipline. It's how you sit with your own thoughts when no one else is around. And that discipline begins with language, the words you repeat, the tone you use, the narratives you reinforce every day without even realizing it. So examine your mind, audit your beliefs, notice your patterns. When something feels painful, ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it accurate? Is it old? Is it helpful? Or is it just a habit I've mistaken for reality? Speak gently to yourself. Speak firmly when needed. Speak truth. not the loudest voice, but the wisest one. Let your inner voice become your ally, not your saboteur. Make it a place of order, not noise. Because the strongest Stoic is not the one who never wavers, but the one who catches the wavering early and steers their mind back on course before it drifts too far. And if your inner dialogue is broken, rewrite it. Start small, start often, start gently. Begin with one phrase, one affirmation, one moment where you stop the old story and choose a new one. This is not about pretending to be fearless or pretending everything is perfect. It is about refusing to let the voice of fear narrate your life unchecked. That is your power. That is your freedom. The ability to choose what you say to yourself again and again until it becomes your new default. It is not a one-time rewrite. It is a daily edit, a lifelong practice. You catch yourself mid-thought and say, "No, I will not diminish myself here. No, I will not spiral. I will anchor. No one else lives inside your head but you. So make it a place you're not afraid to visit. Make it a place of stillness when the world gets loud. A place of direction when the path feels lost. A place of compassion when you fall. Make it a place of clarity, not confusion. A place of principle, not panic. A place of renewal, not regret. Let your mind become a space you can trust, an inner refuge fortified with reason, guarded by truth, warmed by patience. And from that place, let your peace grow strong enough not just to meet the world, but to lead in it. Let it be your inner sanctuary and your outer signature. That's what the Stoic builds, not noise, but a calm that cannot be shaken. Chapter 9. Guard your attention. You become what you give attention to, not just occasionally, but consistently. Attention is not a neutral force, it is creative. It shapes your focus, forms your emotions, and feeds your beliefs. Whatever you give it to, you give it power. And slowly, piece by piece, it shapes the person you become. The Stoic understands that peace cannot coexist with distraction. A scattered mind is a stolen life. A divided focus is a weakened will. If your attention is always fragmented, reacting to the next notification, the next crisis, the next opinion, you are no longer the author of your life. You are being written by external forces. You are no longer choosing, you are being chosen for. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." And he meant it not just geographically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Your body might be in one place, but your mind scattered across dozens of tabs, thoughts, worries, and interruptions. If your thoughts are fragmented, pulled in every direction by headlines, gossip, stimulation, fear, and entertainment, then your energy is drained before your day begins. You begin the day empty, not because you lack time, but because you lack presence. You are present nowhere because you are diluted everywhere. You have a piece of your mind in the news, a piece in comparison, a piece in future worry, a piece in yesterday's regret. Your attention, spread too thin, loses its power. It cannot do what it was meant to do: focus, discern, create, and cultivate depth. When your mind is divided, your soul becomes restless. You feel busy, but not fulfilled, alert, but not aware, tired, but not productive. And without presence, peace becomes unreachable. A distracted mind cannot anchor. It floats on the surface of life, always catching noise but never meaning. It scrolls instead of studies. It reacts instead of reflects. It is dragged, not directed. A mind in pieces cannot offer stillness. It cannot sit with truth. It cannot cultivate resilience. It cannot hear the quiet voice of wisdom because the volume of the world is turned too high. And where there is no stillness, there can be no clear thought, no lasting peace, only fragments of it, scattered and easily stolen. Guarding your peace means guarding your focus. This is not a passive hope. It is an active commitment. It means filtering what enters the gates of your mind like a watchful sentinel. It means setting standards for your inputs the way you set boundaries for your time. Not everything deserves your gaze. Not every headline deserves your worry. Not every argument deserves your engagement. You must choose what you let into your mental world, the same way you would guard the entrance to your home. Would you let chaos, manipulation, fear, vanity, and envy stroll through your front door and take up residence at your table? Would you serve them dinner, listen to their complaints, and ask them for life advice? Of course not. But you may be doing that with your digital habits, with your unchecked thought loops, with your exposure to toxic conversations and overstimulating distractions. Every click, every scroll, every repeated worry is a decision, a trade. You're trading clarity for clutter, peace for noise, power for confusion. Let your attention be reserved for what builds you, what strengthens the core of who you are, for what roots you in purpose and steadies you in storms, for what helps you not only remember your principles, but embody them in the face of real challenge. Let your gaze rest where it nurtures courage, and your focus fall only where it serves the person you are becoming. Because attention is not just what you look at, it's what you absorb. It's what you dwell on in silence. It's what you revisit in moments of uncertainty. Attention is a daily investment into the architecture of your character. It is the brushstroke painting the picture of your inner life. What you attend to shapes what you believe, how you react, how you speak, and what you become. Let your attention be sacred. Spend it on what aligns with your deepest convictions. Let it linger on wisdom, not noise. Let it serve as a compass, not to distract, but to direct. Because where your attention rests, your energy settles. And where your energy settles, your life begins to take shape. Protect your attention the way you protect your peace, because they are inseparable. To attend to what builds you is to tend the soil of a strong, rooted, unshakable soul. Chapter 10. Peace as your legacy. The world is noisy. Let your life be a quiet revolution, a rebellion not of anger, but of composure, a defiance not through volume, but through virtue. Let your stillness speak so loudly that the chaos around you feels foolish trying to shout over it. Let your calm become louder than complaint. Let your groundedness be so unwavering that it unsettles the unstable. When the world runs wild, walk slow. When the noise rises, sink deeper into silence. When others are chasing shadows, sit with the light you already carry. The Stoic does not live for applause. They live for alignment. They do not measure their worth in the decibels of approval or the metrics of fame. They measure it in the clarity of their conscience. They are not here to impress. They are here to embody. And the greatest thing they can embody is peace, not temporary peace, not performative calm, but the kind of peace that radiates from a mind that knows itself, a soul that has practiced stillness until stillness became its native language, a peace that doesn't tremble in the presence of misunderstanding, a peace that walks through opposition with grace, a peace that doesn't argue for validation because it is already whole, peace in the face of confusion, peace in the presence of hostility, peace in the heart of noise, peace not as a mask, but as a way of being, a steadiness so rare it calms the room, a presence so consistent it teaches others how to return to themselves. The Stoic becomes a mirror, reflecting back to others their potential for groundedness. Their quiet becomes contagious. Their pause becomes permission for others to breathe, to reflect, to soften. Their serenity teaches without speaking. Their restraint becomes a form of leadership, one that commands without control and leads without demand. This is your legacy, not what you owned, not what you achieved, not the applause you gathered or the trophies you displayed, but how you moved through the world, how you made others feel, how you stayed anchored when the wind screamed, how you responded to difficulty not with drama, but with depth. It's whether you left others more grounded after they met you, whether your children, your friends, your partners, your strangers saw an example, not of perfection, but of presence. Whether they witnessed someone who held stillness in the storm, not because it was easy, but because their roots ran deep, unseen, but unshakable. Whether you became someone others could trust with their vulnerability, someone whose presence reminded them of their own strength. Whether you became a resting place in a frantic world, not because you had all the answers, but because you knew how to be still when others rushed to react. You do not need to be famous. You need to be rooted. You do not need to be loud. You need to be whole. Wholeness is what makes you magnetic. It's what makes your silence trustworthy. It's what allows you to move without needing attention, to speak without trying to dominate, to love without trying to possess, to lead without trying to control. Wholeness is peace without neediness. It is power without noise. It is depth that cannot be faked, a presence that does not demand. It invites. It does not scream to be seen. It simply is. It draws others in, not because it asks for attention, but because it offers something rare, a calm that can be felt without words, a gravity that pulls without effort, a wisdom that doesn't beg to be heard, because it already lives in how you live. Let your peace be what lingers after you leave the room, not the words you said, but the calm you carried. Let it be the quiet scent of strength that remains in the air long after your footsteps have faded. Let it be the energy that softened the edges of others' chaos. Let it be the thing no one could shake, no matter how loud the world got. Let it be your proof that strength doesn't always fight. Sometimes it just doesn't flinch. Sometimes it doesn't chase. Sometimes it just breathes, stands still, holds fast, refuses to be dragged into what it does not believe in. That refusal is power, and in that refusal lies a kind of sacred boundary, a declaration that you will not give your soul to every storm that comes knocking. You will not barter your sanity for the approval of the panicked. You will not dilute your peace to match the volume of chaos. Let nothing take your peace, not criticism, not praise, not delay, not urgency, not rejection, not approval, not noise, not silence. Let your peace be more loyal than circumstance, more steady than mood, more rooted than pressure, more real than perception. Let it be the invisible force that governs your presence, the quiet but unshakable center from which you speak, walk, and act. Let it be the rhythm beneath your reactions, the compass beneath your choices, the shield you carry when emotion surges. Let it be how you move when the world presses in. Let it be how you breathe when time runs short. Let it be something you wear like sacred armor into every conversation, every conflict, every decision, every challenge, every unseen moment. Let it be your signature, not one drawn in ink, but etched in spirit, recognizable to those who seek refuge from their own storms. Let it whisper to them that calm is possible, that they too can be rooted, that peace is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is not withdrawal, it is strength made quiet. And let your peace change the world, not with spectacle, but with steadiness, not with fireworks, but with presence, not all at once, but one moment, one room, one gesture, one person at a time. That's how revolutions begin, quietly, steadily, unshakably. They do not announce themselves, they anchor themselves in principle. And your peace, held firmly and shared freely, becomes the invitation others forgot they were waiting for. It becomes the steady hand that reaches into someone else's storm and reminds them of their own strength. It becomes the calm voice in a room full of shouting, the stillness in a rush of chaos, the light that doesn't flicker just because the wind rose. It becomes the presence that calms without effort, the example that teaches without words. Your peace becomes not just your gift, but your legacy, a quiet, unwavering light in the middle of the noise, a sanctuary built not on withdrawal, but on strength, a power made visible by what it refuses to give away. Let your peace be the revolution that does not shake the earth, but roots it.